It's another Raw video from your favorite YouTube scout, Draft Raw Authentic. And as you can tell by the title, this is going to be part one of the wide receiver prospects of the 2019 NFL Draft. Now, with this with the videos that I will be doing with the different parts of the wide receiver draft, it's going to be 3 parts. I got about 15 receivers that I've studied. I've studied more than 15 guys, but these 15 receivers are consensusly considered some of the top receivers in this draft class. And the reason why I'm splitting it up into 3 parts, because I know these videos are going to be pretty long, and some people don't want to look at a video for so long, and they want to have a quick video and here, there, and stuff like that. Also, the reason why I'm doing this is because if there's a chance that you don't want to hear about a certain group of guys that I talk about, you can go into the next video and see that group. And if you want to really learn about certain prospects, especially after the draft, if your team drafted one of these guys. Now, in this 3-part series, the first video is going to be mainly some of these wide receiver prospects that we've seen consistently in the first round. And then the second video, some of those guys have also been in the first round, but some of those guys I've definitely seen second and third round projectively and stuff like that. I'm not a big stickler on when you choose a receiver. I'm a big stickler on if the receiver or if a player in general is good. Now, to give you kind of what's going to be going on here with these 3 parts, with part 1, we're going to be talking about, in this video particularly, we're going to be talking about Marquise Brown, DK Metcalf, Hakeem Butler, Antoine Wesley from Texas Tech, people who don't know about him, and A.J. Brown. In part 2, we're going to be talking about Kelvin Harmon, N'Keal Harry, Miles Boykin, Paris Campbell, and Preston Williams. And then in part 3, we're going to be talking about Jamal Custis from Syracuse, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside from Stanford, Riley Ridley, Stanley Morgan Jr., Andy Isabella. Now, obviously, there are more receivers out there that you can probably name off the top of your head. You got guys like Deebo Samuel and other things like that. But I'm only going to focus on these receivers because these are the receivers that either they get talked about the most or they're guys that I really, really like. So, without further ado, instead of wasting your time with everything that's going on, let's just get straight into it. Marquise Brown. Some people have him as the number 1 prospect, of receiver prospect. Other people don't. Now, with Marquise Brown, he's a 5'10", 160-pound wide receiver. He didn't really get to do anything at the combine. Actually, recently they had a pro day, and I didn't check those numbers. I probably should have checked those numbers. But we know that this guy's fast. So whatever the 40 time is, whatever, it doesn't matter. I watched the tape. Bump the combine numbers. I watched the tape. Marquise Brown is an explosive receiver. Reminds you of like a Deshaun Jackson. You can see a little bit of his cousin Antonio Brown in terms of the way that how explosive that he is. It's not particularly in his route running. It's not that he can't run routes, but Antonio Brown is such a savvy route runner. He knows how and uses his body to control how he's going to fake a guy out to then, plant his foot and break off to a side that the cornerback is not able to keep up with. He's very savvy in doing that type of stuff. Marquise Brown is not particularly that guy. He uses just straight up speed. And one of the best things about Marquise Brown is not just the speed, is also the quickness that he has. Now, with quickness, it should come route running. But because he's so explosive, I think that during his time where he's been in high school, going in through college, he doesn't have to use his amazing quickness to really run routes. He can just use his straight up speed because he can just blow past everybody. His hands are, up and down. He's not going to catch everything, but that's particular to receivers like him, the smaller guys that, have all the speed in the world. The other thing about Marquise Brown, when it comes to ball tracking ability, most of the time is mostly with him being able to get so much separation and the quarterback just throwing it up and it's just right there for him. He doesn't have to stop. He doesn't have to climb over corners or anything like that. He just makes a play. The other thing about Marquise Brown is you may think about, well, what about the yak yards? What about yak yards when it comes to Marquise Brown? He has that too. That speed really carries over with the yak yards. He's not going to be as physical, but he's going to use that speed to just blow past people. I like Marquise Brown for being a big playmaking receiver, but I don't like Marquise Brown of being a true number one receiver. I think he's the prototypical deep threat guy, but I don't think he's the guy that he's not going to be the Antonio Brown, or he's not going to be who's another smallish receiver that or Odell. Odell's not like smallish, but if you know what I mean, he's kind of on the smaller side. In terms of some of the other like best receivers in the NFL, he's another guy that's on the small side. I think that Marquise's career can turn out to be somewhat to what you get in like with like a Torrey Smith or like I said earlier, a Deshaun Jackson. It's going to be a lot of big explosive plays, but none of those guys, both those guys, were never really true number ones for any team that they were on. So next, we're going to look at DK Metcalf. Now, here's the thing about DK. It's a little up and down with him. I'm not his biggest fan. I think that people put a lot of stock into a guy that's so big and buff and ripped, and he's so tall. And then on top of that, this is a guy that and I just want to just say this, for as ripped as he is, AJ Brown is just as ripped. So that's not what I'm looking at, and that's what a lot of people do. The other thing that people look at is the 4.33 40-yard dash. You knew he was a burner when you see the tape. You already seen that. The question that you would have is his quickness. And that showed up in the 3-cone drill. That showed up big time. DK literally, he had one of the worst 3-cone times you ever seen. It was literally just as good as Tom Brady. He's a pocket statue quarterback. He's not one of those type of speed guys or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's Tom Brady. Now, somebody said that he slipped during the drill a little bit, and that could have, hurt his time. But come on. We're talking about maybe 0.1 second that it would have hurt it. Maybe 0.15. The dude ran a 7.38. Still, that means that it would have been a 7.13. 7.23. Like, no, that's still bad. One of the faster times came from my boy Miles Boykin, who I will be talking about in the second video. And I got big things with him because I really, really like him, who ran a 6.77 at the exact, basically similar size. Both these guys, DK and Miles Boykin, are not that far apart when it comes to they're both 6'4", and they're both over 220 pounds. So DK, so what else you got to look at? It's the game tape. And the game tape showed me what you saw with the combine numbers. It showed a guy with speed, but he doesn't really have the quickness. And what I mean when I talk about quickness, I'm talking about the route running ability. Can he run routes? He's going to get open more times than often because of his speed, not because he can run routes. But when you go against an actual pretty decent corner, Greedy Williams, that pretty much shut DK Metcalf down, then you're not going to get that same type of ability, those same type of plays. Now, he needs a lot of hard work. He needs to really buckle down and really put some work in and try to become a better receiver for the NFL. But right now, DK Metcalf is not that guy. And for anybody that's putting DK Metcalf up there as the number one receiver in this draft class and everything like that, I think you're going to be sadly disappointed. We've seen plenty of guys with his size and his speed and everything that come in and literally do nothing. Now, he's a little bit different because this is a guy that's so big and ripped, so strong with all the speed in the world. But, most of the time that stuff don't work. And I'm not trying to just straight up do it off of history. The game tape tells me that what this guy is, that he was in college, with the injuries and the hardly any production, is what he's going to be in the NFL. Now, I'm not trying to wish injury on him and say that he's going to be injured a lot. But I'm saying that just like Marquise Brown, he's going to be a deep threat type of guy. I don't see him being a number one guy or a guy that you can really trust to say, hey, when the game's on the line, it's fourth quarter, 20 seconds on the clock, you're at the 10-yard line, and it's fourth down. Who are you throwing it to? Who you know is going to get open? Who you know is going to make that catch? Not saying DK can't make that catch, but I'd rather trust a guy like, let's go to the next guy. His partner, A.J. Brown. I'd rather trust him in those situations. So A.J. Brown, 6 foot, was about 210, 215. Hands, route running, doesn't have the great speed. Yards after catch, this guy's the best run after catch guy in the draft. And the biggest thing that I always look at is ball tracking skills. And the ball tracking skills are important to me because it's one of those things where instead of letting the quarterback dictate the pass, instead of you just running your route and you're hoping that the ball's going to be placed where you want, some guys say bump it. I'm going to make sure this corner don't get the ball, and I'm getting that ball. And it's not always about snatching the ball with your hands. You can catch it with your body as long as you say, hey, you're not catching that ball. And then when you don't catch the ball and it's a pass interference and the ref doesn't throw the flag, the ref looks stupid, but you even look more dumb because how can I trust you to make the big play if you can't make the big play? I need those guys to be monsters. I need that A.J. Green. I need that Julio Jones. Shoot, even Odell and Antonio Brown do it, and they're the smaller side on the receiver side of the ball, on the receiver side of the spectrum. Michael Thomas from the Saints, DeAndre Hopkins from the Texans, all of these guys do it. Now, the thing about A.J. Brown that people are going to question is he a true outside receiver because he played a lot of slot? He only played slot because DK and DeMarcus Lodge could not play on the inside of the slot. That's the only reason he played it. Other than that, he's an outside receiver. And if you watch the tape, you do see him playing on the outside. He has the strength. He has the savviness to play on the outside. Now, he's not going to be like, the big time down the field type threat, but he's going to give you a lot of underneath routes. He's going to be a hard receiver to cover because he's going to use his big body, and he's going to make a lot of big catches because he's got pretty strong hands. So A.J. Brown, he may not be my number one receiver in this draft class, but I would say that he's definitely going to be a good one when he gets drafted into the league. Next on the list, we're going to talk about Hakeem Butler, Iowa State. Simply, he is the best receiver to me in this draft. Now, I will put this little disclaimer out there as well. He does have some drops that are very concerning. Also, I'm going to put another disclaimer behind that. There is another receiver or actually two receivers that I kind of like a little bit more in terms of the drops that Hakeem Butler had compared to them. They don't have those drops, and they're both really, really good receivers. But with Hakeem, he gives you so many big-time plays. His run after catch, I said A.J. Brown is the best run after catch receiver. Hakeem Butler is not that far behind him. If A.J. is 1, then what's the name is 1B. He's like right there. They're not that far from each other. Hakeem Butler also, those big plays cannot be ignored. This guy makes big play after big play after big play after big play. And honestly, man, it's some of the most beautiful type of things that you've seen. Whether he's jumping up for a big one-hand catch or sideline, toe tap, boom, making those big catches. The catches where he catches it and he's breaking 2 or 3, 4 or 5 tackles and he's getting into the end zone. This dude plays with so much aggression, so much passion, and so much heart. It is amazing. And he's a Baltimore kid. So I am huge on him. Now, I was big on him when I learned that he was a Baltimore kid. I became bigger on him when I saw that tape. And actually, I learned that he was a Baltimore kid week 2 of this past college season. I've been studying Hakeem Butler since week 2. It's not just, I just up and just started. No, I've been watching this guy for a little while now. This dude can play the game. And he's a big play guy, and he's a true number 1 receiver. And honestly, like I said, I think he's probably the best receiver in this draft class. Now, I do like some other guys as well, but Hakeem Butler, he's got my vote as a guy that's really going to make something of himself in the NFL. And last but not least, we're going to talk about Antoine Wesley from Texas Tech. This is one of the guys next to Miles Boykin who could be the best receiver in this draft class. Antoine Wesley could actually be the best receiver in this draft class. Why? Antoine Wesley, man, the dude can run routes. The dude catches everything. This guy, I'm sorry, I'm looking off the camera. Just the route running, the excellent hands, the excellent speed. He's got everything that you look for. The thing is that because he plays in that Texas Tech offense, people are not going to give him so much credit, but you can literally see this guy run routes. You literally see him do it. And he's quick with his feet. For as tall as he is, he's got really good hips, breaking down, and then the simple fact he can get behind defenders, it is amazing to watch his tape. Gosh, I'm trying to remember which tape I watched that it was just, I think it was against Baylor or something like that. I believe it was against another like Texas team or someone that's like close to that. This dude had one of the best games I've ever seen from a receiver in this draft class. It was amazing to see him out there and what he could do. And he's going to be very, very underrated. And I can see him going in like the 3rd or 4th round, but turning out to being one of the best receivers in this draft class. And I wanted to make sure I talked about him in this video because I wanted to give him a lot more credit because he's not going to get that credit, you know, when the draft season has already started, but he's not going to get that credit as the draft starts to pull around closer and closer. I don't see him getting that credit, but hopefully people start catching on to what this guy can do. And you heard it here first if you're watching this video. I'm doing this video on, what is it, March 15th, 16th, March 14th, Saturday, March 14th. I forgot which day it is, 14th, 15th, 16th. I'm doing this video on that day. So if you see this video afterwards, I'm just going to tell you, I put it out there, okay? I'm not trying to be a guy that's clout chasing or anything, but I just want to say I really study these guys. I really do study. So it is what it is. Now, that was the end of the video. You can join me for part 2, where I'm going to be talking about guys like Kelvin Harmon, N'Keal Harry, Miles Boykin, Paris Campbell, and Preston Williams. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, please share, please rate, please comment. And I'll see you part 2, wide receivers.